and Wale Wale. They stopped vehicles to identify potential targets and shot them. Initial reports suggest that 8 persons were killed, but the Boko's Nabes lawyer pegs the death toll at 15. And Jebekoniako Akafoyunia, Ivan Innocent China, Yeneno, Atritrin, and Komo, Ewo, FD, Kessi, Eso. Any Yenshayunia, Ivan Abayan Kona, Yankomano, Aquaban, Tententemwa, na Yenshe Yankomono, Asi. Ivan, Yamakwaba.
Yeah, Dr. Ramajo, so.
Na apom ti saying.
Oh, nyame adoma ho de ho pa.
Fine. We dey yem fan chance you over the weekend any it is Ayoko Botri wababa be ye a friend say any the Secretary General for Commonwealth and to be the Commonwealth for him. I mean wo remarks was asem no ho na yenko the substantive conversation topics no.
Yeah, I think it's good news. They did come remember na baso. Say Ghana ni me I merge to that particular position. I think say animonyam share for Obia because we had time Kofi Annan the time as a UN Secretary General about we na we share down Ghana ni bia wa rise to such position of prominence at the global stage. Among for big Gina so aka say Ghana ni so Ghana ni so ha akwanya bi sa na ton man no. So to me I think it's positive news because menya sure say Ghana ni bi better Ghana ha baka say ma me na ya to aba mana we ne as a Commonwealth we nti no na ya when it comes to issues like this politics and as for be any the fact is so Ghana ni o deserve na sabontin so for kranya I wish mu wani mu a how much more or minor will free no. So I think that support to be a here be a Ghana for across the political divide will be a demand. Now you hope is obeti me leave a certain legacy. There be a Ghana and be sort of or similar position na. Young Okase are you quable to buy we no by Ghana for we cannot trust you. But the maybe Oka could be a crime in the future. Sebeya Ghana ni be a other position a source of inspiration a bit me rise to that particular position when you know so babam faso because my culture says the whole essence of leadership is to serve humanity. We don't go into leadership position to serve ourselves or to serve our families. It's one thing in our part of the world. We think we go into leadership position, secure power and whatever that comes with it, it's for us and for our family. I think it's a notion. Akwanya bi ati say no obetimi dia ye no ye de asesa na ye hu say at least unya tumi a ye de bo nipa.
Yeah, hwe sa enkomo we I think the last week di ho enkomo but na eja ye hwe animu say parliament betumi abomodin na asetena mo kwakotena no ye beto yi na eja the parliament works no etimi ashase anase atoso. And the parliament has suspended a friend said the speaker of parliament was suspending a year parliament indefinitely. Among for big kasa say you tia mo kasa mo nkonko ye adwuma mfa mo my Ghana. Adwuma bebre wo ho at this particular time esa mo kona mo kokoye. Speaker so say mo nkofie indefinitely. Don't you think it's a parliament kwa o makwa kwotena fie ebe ha wo man no adwuma yo Empuntio our minor ebepe. Your take on the indefinite suspension speaker Ediama parliamentarians no?
Yeah, I think it's quite unfortunate. So you been such a standoff between parliaments, you can say both majority, minority, and then the Supreme Court. This standoff way and here is not necessary. But I bet to a point people are just flexing muscles. You understand? Yes, it's a asunu bi enu nyam tokwa. Grounds no na bre. And sa niema way cause you my catch my personal position say needless. And you handle in a better way and can endure her. Because first of all, Supreme Court popping the note into this particular development has proven say emphasobia niso. Because I know the day these 3 arms of government in America are at the same level. and so what kind of constitution now give you clearly this delineation of power will be within your house, and that's what kind your constitution now article 117 meaning so what provision about me I can call 117 parliamentary way no down was and as a form a clear mandate na yede ama judiciary no yede ama parliament no or they should be free from any external influences and as for their proceedings in the house no must continue unabated. So if we get to a point where there is this external body a parliament or popu ne hands into the nose of the parliamentary business within the house not any outside the house, I think that and I could create this whole way and my catcher says I wouldn't babini he's somebody when it comes to power play and then as a for now he's a person he's cut for that particular thing or no so to me he's that kind of person with that kind of attitude. So with the Supreme Court coming out with that particular ruling, man, I wasn't surprised such decision will come out from him because so what ye quite of fast or my ruling now Supreme Court in the ruling about he sat in the house that particular day. Who said MPP for the majority walked out of parliament on that particular day. And then Rona Emma the basis to do what he did. Or say parliament say NDC MPs Nimkwana waha per rules at our house. We can do business. We can transact every business. I'm a house in Betinia Koso. But when it comes to say taking key critical decisions, Parliament standing order and the Constitution, you need a specific number of people before you can take decisions. So the all party and they say, baby, and your parliamentary business, there are key decisions to be taken. And in Nipana, you know, mobile taking that decision, they say, or my boycott of Parliament, or more ma. So they met me and said, then I'm suspending the House indefinitely. And that is exactly what he did. And
it is a kind article 117 and it talks about the immunity from service or processes and arrest. Now was a civil or criminal process coming from any court or place out of parliament shall not be served on or executed in relation to the speaker or a member or the clerk to parliament while he is on his way to, attending at, or returning from any proceedings of parliament.
Yes. And now, can 15, no, mame? I'm in shower there.
Oh, okay, mame. Kasan, mame, 15 in my.
Yes. I may have to say, there shall be freedom of speech. There shall be freedom of speech, debate, and proceedings in parliament. And that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of parliament. So, Dr. Ren, Constitution, I insulated parliament as an institutional role now or performing a sacred, same way the president, same way the chief justice in the court. Because the president cannot go to the Supreme Court and direct chief justice how or set it up in a panel and ask the ruling. The same way president in discharge of his executive decisions, he cannot be directed by any institution or court. My culture says, okay, we are now free, so then why a former you can take him on. The same way parliament so enjoy similar privileges. And the entire kind this particular way they say, as some baby a quaco no, now you nimsa quacoda. Cool heads will prevail. And now you could that's already said the woody Sunday, Speaker of Parliament directed the clerk. Say untrue let them fan concoma your friend say Chief Justice. Say any Judicial Council no say. Sermons no more the ban so no. Unconstitutional and all cite article now media culture on the say. Mum say obi a parliamentarian. Na say onam kwan so kwa adwuma kra police in cheno. And now say your friend say yen servo no. Because constitutional framers no recognize it. The sacred nature of a human nipa so in a personal indiscretion even though it's a crime, but a human or kwakoyeno a juma or kojina whole constituency and no moon a jumano and to what chena nipa no more constituency no what deny omo, but already all ye we know befia witimi kwache as a criminal. Enti the Speaker of Parliament at in the chamber no ye na dwuma. We had this clause in this provision ya. Eba then and somebody will walk to we cry then so on kwan so and our parliament o. And yes, free parliament no coffee o. Where the parliament home to chamber ha and I had sermons no ko wura ha right no ko wura say Speaker of Parliament. And he's challenging say a young constitutional. And in the first place, right now was sermons no cry unregarded, let alone the ruling now with the abano. Is the reason why until date nothing has been said about the ruling at the floor of Parliament. Obianka Hwasem, they say sermons no more several legal directed honor is being challenged by the speaker. At this point, I free so Adibia Kwakwa does say the Parliament because MPP members no at speaker say almost no Parliament na was suspending indefinitely no. He should call it back. Because there are several government businesses as a transacted. The question is who calls them? Because in the first place, you boycotted the place when you knew that government business has to be done. I'm a nipana acquire. Then the following day you come back. But like we say is the standing orders and the constitution and as for a permit or more, and it is within the law for them to make such a call on the Speaker of Parliament. It is also up to him to weigh saying his discretionary powers based on one or two things to make a decision as to whether he will reconvene Parliament as soon as possible or not. You know, we are yet to know. But for the Speaker to go a step further, asama free sa kwakoda. Now, I all instructed the lawyers and for to write to Chief Justice in country and say, now we yamra na the woodimana say Article 115 and Article 117. I catch them and say, Sametihana me dimi duma wouldn't know who finds out with the sermons, Bramiana. And I think that open the whole new chapter of this confrontation at Yahoo in the past few days. And then one who's a trendy on social media. So it's more of flexing of muscles, these arms of government, you know, Obia, speaker, no, ya catch them and say, Supreme Court no need to miss over director as to what to do in your chamber. And he said, "Omo flex ya because omo back, omo mienu, omane toso miensa." Parliament will be seen as a weak institution, and I think that it is at the back of that conviction, and I empower the speaker to also go the way a corner, a kokokwa. Yana yehombetere, and I'm free say a hunya. Said there are several other scholars at your madrian or more about here na here. Say Supreme Court by invoking of your saying the original jurisdiction or powers in this particular matter. Now I'm making sure say Parliament without such your friends say coordination and as for and our circumstances are fenyo marking at the court. I'm a court not granting the S party based on certain flimsy reasons are already here in his summons and retina. Clearly, a said this whole agenda was to pat government in the back to get its way. But then the speaker and so try to prove the other way around, said no, you can sit there, give your orders, everything. Key to Parliament, you know, is in my pocket. I can decide whether to open it or not, especially when the majority, you know, has given me reasons to close Parliament, you know. So I think there's more or less, you know, flexing of muscles. I may catch us because Dr. Ren, the entire separation of powers, these key arms of government, you know, obia betimianya a room, overriding room, even though a certain window has been created, said by this right, you know, will not be abused. And internet check and balances, you know, but it is not a highway. Our far car now, so you drive there to control somebody. No, each of these houses, you know, are insulated, protected by the Constitution. OBS or Yena Juma without any external interference and as for. So I could do a point. Now the judiciary thinks that they can easily get into Parliament and other proceedings within the House. Abra provision yamema okan ye actually pefe say the proceedings in the House are insulated from any external influence, be it court or president, whichever directive be cannot until such a decision is taken and it is deemed say inimical to interest and as of other people and I'll be taking it on. And we are talking about a particular principle that has been applied even few years ago. And one of the key arguments the Supreme Court to Gina Sokrano, it doesn't make sense. And what on China, you know, say a politics no more, and any judicial will be no more yet because and right now, me kind, sha lolobine akwafu for your
Central Kofi Akpafu Lolobi any likpe for no.
Exactly. One of the key arguments I know women say, yes, a Ghana for electoral commission for Nyansa Kwan so a free, sa particular way no. And you need representation. Supreme Court question as I'm so no case young regularize sabaya the next 4 years no ombenya representation. And if the same Supreme Court is saying say 4 constituencies just few weeks to election cannot be denied their fundamental human right of getting a representative in parliament. And now we say lolo before that nipa and Ghana for if these people can bear the brunt for 4 good years, I think that these people cannot endure for 3 weeks. And again, Supreme Court, all your argument, emotional argument, they care, they are so endeared to the welfare of people, they need to have representative. Don't forget to say, Abra, Papa Wefri, you, Jachi question issue by Anna Air Coso. Surprisingly, this same Supreme Court injuncted him in the history of this country. Says Supreme Court, injuncted somebody who has been voted for. Say a man in Parliament in Kwayana Juma because na some more court, now, but I'm saying we TV or ever. And he wasn't at the time pronounced guilty. But Nipa Kotwa Bamana or more Shese or representative, he was injuncted and he sat home for 2 good years. And Sana finally didn't asem. And if you look at this inconsistency, now we are Supreme Court in the first place. Attempt will try to invoke the original jurisdiction, whether a right or your friends say unjust, people will not take you serious because the trajectory built a certain kind of inconsistency for you. And people think, say, you are not a judiciary doing anything. Now, no, you are just a terror arm. Our government, to achieve whatever that they want to achieve. Because I think the Supreme Court has demonstrated clearly, say, indeed, they are really working for the people. Menya sure say Ghana for na beji asem we yafa because na no na me catch you. So kwa Twitter 2 things are now trending on that day. 1 emoa, 2 unanimous FC. Dr. Ren, for the highest pinnacle of judicial power to be trending in such a negative light, emoa, unanimous FC. That is the highest form of indignation. I'll bet me pour on the judiciary, the highest one. And who will be what that particular house? You should not be so much enthused with your power in the house, thinking, say, oh, men are measure rope cocoon and say for them power no me hold them pen mayor. No, you should be concerned about the public perception. Because I know the day and your fish and the assam cocotte. And your nipa and the assam cocotte. And for people to invoke the powers of the judiciary, one, they need to have trust. They need to know that the judiciary will be fair. So if you go to social media space and consistently people are subjecting the judiciary to public ridicule, mortification, as if we are progressive-minded, reasonable, sensible person. You will not be concerned too much about how much power you have and the authority you have to interpret the constitution. But you'll be very much concerned about public perception because it's no or no UK or small will be so unko di asama. Asam no sa odi ni nyansa mo wani ni nyansa mo yaso kokasa ye bechi udedua. At that time no na a fear and terror and I would you hunu manfo but at this era ya ye wo mi maka cho say ye hunu nipa. Enti na no na meka cho say Pontius Pilate nim ko mo hye dade chene na sefo no ende oba na obedi nsebu na nipa beka na dua kire no ene era ya ye wo mi ye hunu nipa. The only way I bet me hunu nipa da say hunu omo with intelligence, with reasoning, with logic, with common sense. Nipa no hu obesuro. Na say mama ruling, opo mama, mena power no me hode sa ne man ye nkura se ma twam. This era you can survive with such your friend is saying belligerent posture. Say I am not bending because men are more power. I am inflexible because I'm the one with the power. Oh yes, sir, trust me. You become a joke in the eyes of the people. And into the Supreme Court of Ghana, abaye a joke in the eyes of many of Ghanaians Because as someone make come say be a perception. Now no CDD for year your friend is saying survey, and I'm sure say you've come across it. How much trust that Ghana for the judiciary go and read the CDD report. Now no wonder joy for the two or more friend is saying or more one of their your friend saying social media handle. Go there and read the comments among for Emma. Dr. Ren, opa me no kasa we have a Rainbow Radio ye polls. Na fato ho say Ghana need the level of trust award judicial. Bo hu nsem hu na man for ba kire wase. So it's a worry. But my culture say omaya yetimi already we've lost parliament. I am not speaking for parliament because I think that this parliament is one of the weakest link in our democracy. So ineffective, so impotent. And into na yadru be yadru executive issue the teponkoso wo de ne ya de be enye. So the only last hope anka Ghana ni wo the judiciary. I was expect say Ghana ni niema nko ye kura no twa no ho a anya hwe ne court de ukọ the court to be fair. Na ye beduru ba bi na public perception ne say court no ye terror arm being used by power to bulldoze their way through, to get their way through. Ebasana, it means that the institution of democracy, and our threatening, because at the end of the day, we are going into an election where people are threatening, say, yeah, they young court to because court they are not fair. You should be worried as a Chief Justice. You should be very much concerned. And yes, our way is to repair this damaged reputation of the judiciary. That is the same call I've been placing on the Jemensa-led EC. Such an institution, or credibility now, or thrive on public trust. It is not about how much power you have from the constitution. It is not about the guarantees, because I told the idea a public constitution in nipa on yes or over Sarababa Hobanyo. Who Ghanaian constitution and provided a dime uncle shame. It's just a document. But as a reasonable human being, you need to attach wisdom to what you do and be very much endeared to public perception. And as a forum, I am not saying says a Supreme Court could dear Sama. I'm not social media, no more public square. No munko bisa Ghana for yenya day. No. But I can't say law everywhere. Law everywhere. UK, US, Canada, wherever. There are basic principles or elements upon which every law revolves around. A reasoning, a common sense, a logic. It doesn't matter where you go. Any law be edifying these three basic principles and your law. And your law. And what do you really know about until sit down, ask yourself, say, ruling nearby, as I mean, law, everything to us, and you invoke these basic principles. Can we find these basic principles within this invocation? Yeah. If you cannot find it, it means something is wrong. Because people who are disgracing the Supreme Court or social media, they are not judges, so they are not lawyers, so. But there is one thing they have. Understanding this basic principle of reasoning, logic, common sense. Anything a teacher can't really know. This basic common sense. Any media person can, because there are basic things that you don't need to go to law school to know. And consistently, for instance, a Supreme Court will really say, or birth certificate cannot guarantee so we are Ghanaian are just a passport, which is just a traveling document. To acquire the passport, the only thing you need is a birth certificate.
And your Hossein Mebemo, and I know say offer the Afro Barometer a year one report on the other two a jar. Who pay the most corrupt a year institutions in Ghana. Almost put the police first, and the office of the president second, and normally the tax officials a third, members of parliament a fourth, and the fifth year judges and the year magistrates. Now, what about people are with the opinion say obi to say Ura Godfred Kwabnadi? No say a year in practice speaker cannot suspend a year parliament without consultation with the sitting president, the executive. Now, offer a year the Ura Kwabnadi wu Kenya atweme adwene akọ justices a year pega the ruling bia year 2001, and I think in 2001 and 2002, it was between a year Amidu and a year President Kufuor, and it was about a year a kwaya a year Ura Kufuor Mreno or fast so appointing Kofubi, and Amidu was with a point to say the Kufuor year no ebia wamfa a year mra kwan so, and into Kuwi ama Justice Pega can say, even though there was separation of powers, no, separation of powers, no, and Chrese, se back, yen, who said chinchina trying, media me ho, and I'm not going to work in par with other powers that be in Ghana. Now, for the year Godfrey Kwabnadi wu Kenya, it means Parliament is acting without a year. I mean, the executive. Ebanesa, is it not dangerous for the separation of powers? No.
Yeah, Dr. Ren, I don't think suspension of Parliament, you need to involve the president in. Because House, you know.
Because we are dissolving Parliament. We are suspending a year Parliament indefinitely. One will say, is it not similar like somebody sitting somewhere in Kenya? I know the constitution in Kenya is different from our constitution. Our constitution, you cannot dissolve Parliament. President cannot dissolve Parliament.
Yeah.
Dissolving Parliament, be free the Speaker of Parliament. Well, suspending Parliament indefinitely, more or less, is like saying I have dissolved Parliament without the knowing or agreeing from the executive.
Yes, these are semantics. It depends which word exactly did the speaker use. Okay. Parliament, he can let Parliament go on recess, and it's a word that over the years they can go on break.
Yeah.
So you see, just a choice of words. So I told the idea, Parliament is on recess, and his reasons are that they've taken French leave, because indeed say, Parliament, you know, to a certain extent, somebody should have spoken to the speaker, say, for ABC, you know, your grievances in here, because your who bills cost for Parliament, and then as for other party, no, and when you register your protest and then you walk out of Parliament, then it will be on record, say, for this reason, you know, but in this particular instance, by the time a speaker not walking into the house, you know, now my MPs will be a niho. And then his reasons, I am not justifying what the speaker did.
And yeah, okay, I'm even surprised to say, Afenyo Markins, I'm marking. I mean, a seasoned lawyer. Our council or moon free Parliament. I was thinking, saying, Quebec's okay, my brothers and sisters, whatever the place that we will say, let's go, let young conquat now. Now you the speaker Nebeka. Then if we have any opinion and our BBA, then we'll let our grievances or opinion be heard through a friend and the Speaker of Parliament. But when the I say my kukuntain be na yembetnase, and later on you what for it say speaker and rena and policy and sambrani and betnase when you had the opportunity at the time.
You see that my position has always Ubakaya Abra ye levy deliberation echoes of Parliament. You say NDC MPs are walking out. And I'm a catcher say in Parliament, you know, only cowards walk out. Because you don't walk out from parliamentary business. Let it be on record, say, we voted against it, but they had the numbers, they won. Leaving the house, you know, doesn't stop people left, you know, to make a decision. So sit there, let it be captured, let it be on record, say, 11, you know, yeah, NDC for near 130, yeah, 2 TI, MPP for 131. Let it be on. But you walking out, you know, cannot change anything. It's a coward's way. Somebody will say it's a way of registering your protest and so forth. There is no better way registering your protest than actually voting against the thing on record, so that it will be captured. Because at the end of the day, you know, it will be written, say, Nipadudo say that 2-4 way, we're not 2 against way. If you don't have the number
on Hansard, no, Nanka so okay, you buy, but you buy and ye stands no send a TND, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm quite farmer, but our Mickey, your friend say our voices no
clear. Yeah, because walking out, no, not change anything. Say some mistake in a friend marking, yeah, because speaker say, yeah, they are bama drama bedroom. And the walking out, you know, I don't know when you are coming back. And we cannot take Tio, I say we cannot take decision. We can transact business, but we cannot take the decision. And we can't tell me when you are coming back because and you know, until say may convince us say that we are willing to come, no, and no mum na so and yeah, money, then it is your friend is an indication of an intent, say and they are willing to come back. So speaker no will have to call Parliament back. I agree. But at the time I all making that decision, you know, Dr. Waba Obia ni ho stood miansa ne 9 at ho. There is no indication when they are coming back. The following day, when you don't know when people are coming back, and you know you can't take key decisions. And you know, I think that what he did there at that particular day, no, now he was right because say because now we person we quorum. Now we take key decisions. Where and some MPP side no call yes key business for how to be transacted now. You most of the decision you need 2/3 of Parliament and some you need simple majority. And send the panel banner say more deliberation in area. What kind of numbers no more now? There is no way you get a number to do the business in for. And so what is the point? For NDC for what do not constitute numbers obedience so that take decisions. And nipa na okono so nyanka nchiro when they are coming back. And better the best option is to walk out and then say we are ready, I'm catch me ever back.
One of the things I always say is na me DNDC for who yaw power Parliament this particular Parliament and say when the issue of a yes Sao a year Sancho Kofi Akpafu Lolobi Lekpe Ebaye no I with my own opinion there I felt to say the NDC let down the people of Sancho Kofi Akpafu Lolobi Lekpe. Because we know say clearly no say definitely the NDC would have won.
Yes.
And kebemo a year the upper hand for them to be in the majority seat of a year Ghana's parliament. And can you imagine say akwa kotoaba near see ma bantama fon twaba. Ye ma a ye menshia fon twaba. I don't think it will never ever happen in Ghana's history say abekotoaba. Na a whole bantamas aye say modie ma bato no de ma to presidential ba parliamentary ni de emfa ho. Can you imagine what would have happened in Ghana and NDC atna ho? So clearly no, from the onset ni de na ka utumu say na everything was on the right side for the NDC to be a year majority a year party in parliament and omode a year bukata a year near dinner through the system, the judicial system, manipulating it in favor of the MPP. And I think it has never been right. And you see, one of the most cardinal sin in Ghana's history is denying the people of Sancho Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Lekpe. And today, here we are. Anaba Baka Afeidi.
Yes, it's true. That is why I told you from the beginning that I don't sympathize with this parliament. And all the parliaments in a this is the most ineffective, a house full of noise makers and attention seekers. Yeah, kasabibre, so ineffective. And Babin, and I one speaker of parliament, and me so much disappointed in him. Because Yakoto Abana yenya these numbers, you know, people felt that this will be the most effective because of the numbers. But unfortunately, no, because like we said, how dare you say Yakoto Now, a night before the election. Now, is in through certain manipulations in Akotra constituency of film. I'm on to about representation. Now, you call parliament. The minority knowing very well, say you rectify that particular thing, it will go in your favor, no? You sit there, approve all the ministers, and then as a forum, government business goes on as normal, without telling them, say, until this particular injustice is rectified, no government business will go on. I'm telling you, say, that I'm making sure that the people get a representation in parliament. But, and I'm saying parliament, and the minority no tina se fodo am arms. Speaker no so am fa no hona number 3 na opa yentino. The people felt say you guys are not serious. And to be here from day one. The MPP government has been trying to use the judiciary to manipulate happenings inside the parliament because you have shown weakness. And I know na catch now. Jemensa sabi nim class some on nama or yeah flexing the muscles. Ya kasa onye si onye nyina because onimsa parliament is weak. Because there was a time this woman was hauled before parliament. Osman ne deputy, said the deputy in court. The deputy went there and I was pamon and said, "Menan Casamra." The very day it took several months and sana menoko. Meaning so videos now. Yeah. Go back and watch the video, watch the demeanor of the woman inside the house, look at the responses. Again, the NDC minority, a demonstration against Governor of Bank of Ghana say, "O Chesika, Waboka in the history of this country or more kada." They went there, the guy granted an interview, Eka said they were behaving like hooligans. MPSO. So what I'm trying to say is respect are ordinary. You expect parliament to send call one any hopium because almost sacrifice it that original powers no more for whatever goodies or so whatever. Because if the whole constituency can be cut off, just the band said that now we see yeah, Kotwaba, John Mahama and your president, and our appointed Obi, our yeah, your friend saying, EC boss. Now I said Bantoma. A night before we try Bantuma from Bantuma for your representation. And think a crow can never bet me. You think the MPP would have agreed? So why would anybody on his right senses who say that particular injustice should stand? So when you do all these things, people will not take you serious. And in the parliament, you know, Obia free, so we can just control them. Oh, because they don't respect you. Afena. Speaker nearby also try to flex the muscles, but I'm sure that this parliament will go down as the worst one, the weakest link, the most unserious parliament under the Fourth Republic. ASR parliament way, a house full of noise makers, attention grabbers. They already see TV, so my mom will say, but in reality, we are the most disappointed the people. Because how do you explain this to the average mind? Say a whole constituency will have no representation for the whole 4 years. And you sit there, you approve government loans, you approve bills, minister bani a passing, president bani a passing.
Omuni representative, parliament, or become as a mama say na me mamfuni here, woman here A, B, C, D. I mean, can you?
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes, and then Supreme Court.
And then another Dankwe Kufuado. A human rights activist.
Yes. And then Supreme Court Robert Catcher say 4 weeks to elections, you know. A year agona for mena for and suhum for dear. You be breaching almost fundamental human rights. Say you more representation in parliament. Look, how unserious the institution of parliament is in this country. Is the reason why I'm fun take you almost serious. No. I am because if we begin to lose trust and respect in these foundational institutions of our democracy, Dr. Ryan, we are heading nowhere.
I mean, the okay is true because we had the Muntakaka in 2001, and I agree with him. I say 70% of Ghana's problem, every parliament.
Oh yes, and me the prefix honorable, we need to drop it because things near my brabo man for born in as a for doesn't illuminate that particular description anymore.
And it's just a title, but the way I will gun and one fight title now, friend, one no we jam by force. Come on,
but you live to justify it.
Yes,
you live to justify it. So if consistently life abraba pointed to the contrary, to the stance that even within the house, the conduct of some of the members in as for crying sometimes.
I when sure say the people are yet two muswaba so among parliament, with the Mr. Mekau. Don't do an argument with form because they don't even understand the democracy. Because ocean cophobia or parliament. Hey, are these people going to make the laws for us? Because you see, when it comes to law, it's about conscience.
Yeah.
Lord, only the Say nipa na a wo ko parliament na no me fa selection me NDC in phobia wa parliament na me fa MPP in phobia wa parliament say oh Christ me ti we anymore. And it no makotena wa monti ase kra se de nti na Sancho Kofi akpafulo lobili pe kra no wo mu ni parliamentarian e wo parliament ko sen ko mo ti the parliament na se a I mean at least discerning minds no beka say no this is wrong, let's do something about it. Don't you think say your parliament na ngasa no criteria no yɛ choosing for parliament no kra no questionable.
Yeah, Dr. Ryan, what's the last me no egg come catch us say you cannot go to a country where the leaders are fools and the people are wise. Can never happen. So I'm sure sir, I've answered your question. So yes, let us not get ahead of ourselves. Your parliamentarians and Asabi. It is we the people, because leadership of every country, I reflected the larger thinking of the people. And uhunisa, I just said that yes, I know yes, it's on my be our no leader and a winner. And near my more than a dinner, I reflected the societal demands. Because how can you go to UK and say a particular constituency, any representation? It is not parliament that will be forced to act. It is the people that will say no, this particular injustice has to be addressed immediately. And you'll be forced. By her, when was the last time I was on a radio? So, journalists and also be say, and your fair cross, a powerful now before, and what is Obi can radio so that?
No, woman, come on, Tiasi. Apart from Yaki can want someone, Professor Azani, Franklin Kujo, I have who de Rosa Habesine. Woman, crowd journalists with Bruno and Puntias.
Traditional media, no, what is Obi a certain panel or more can I say, Honda? Maybe I had for my 30 years already, so young can I am.
Ivan.
Yes, 30 years, but not to become awesome. But yeah, democracy. These are some of the things that we need to sometimes, it is not about where or party, no loyalty, agent. Because, and then, say, yeah, Timmy, the Shah Lulu before. Now, said John Mahama be president of China. No, so said 5 constituencies in the Ashanti region of the Munya representation. I know the day, dear now, Becca. Because if somebody can deny one constituency, another president can deny 10 constituencies. It's the same thing.
So you been a see what from MPP AAD and ADBSia MPP first woman the Omontiasi. Now I ask myself, say MPP no person much less woman kwana sebi bamra woman mwana and I banyansa sebi
and now, me can say no, Madam for Professor B. Dinkomo, or Vice Chancellor of one of the biggest university organ and not all about law. No, say, oko other countries are. I'm focusing yamra just to expand their horizon. Sebaya out of it, you bet me their boa about the or mine. But yahano, I'm focusing yamra the baya patapane, sabium crasism. And the entire political system now has been weaponized by the legal regime. Because now UK, how often do people take issues of politics to court now? Because common sense need to prevail. Say you've seen there to the highest level, and now they be legalizing, and I say weaponizing with the legal framework. But every single person be a lawyer, be a person who say, "Makus yamra," and never yanko court. And the processes of government and administration and so forth, and everything has come to a halt. And the Ghana and say, and Winyansan take a decision with our court. Now, my culture say, unfortunately, so where the nature of your constitution now, it's rated with a whole lot of ambiguity, clauses of ambiguity to the extent say the only person that is empowered to put interpretation on constitutional provision is a judge. Dr. Ren, usia dia be law professor. The other can famra no hu bia no e wadwen kire enko ba bia. A law professor which wadwen is just an opinion. Because the only person mandated by law in this country to put interpretation on constitutional provision is a judge. Finito. Yaka una we lawyer, una we hwan yo obia, because when lawyers go to court, just that you've been taught to have a refined understanding about the law. But what we are judge no probably to agu on fact because on what the right to put interpretation on a friend saying such a dangerous environment now you find yourself on. Let me free say we need to review the constitution and these ambiguous clauses now a woman here another person to interpret, let us clear them and write them in a clearer defining language. You will not give discretionary powers to judges all the time to explain. Because if the constitutional provisions are quite explicit in the face, sometimes, are understandable, you don't need to give a judge a power for the whole country awaiting the Supreme Court for ruling. We live in a progressive society where no court to be given the power and no judge to be given the power to hold the whole nation hostage. I just the Supreme Court the ruling back. Why? Because we are not ready to amend the constitution. The last time I know about say obi ewo Ghana passport no UK passport allegiance. You can't allegiance and then saying is it where you come from and is it about citizenship? You see, Sanse Munue adaho from over 30 years in ye nyansa and clarify in our constitution until so we back file na by asem da bia ekoko to ho. Obi ko parliament processes of going to parliament na start free. Is it by the time I file nomination? Is it by the time I I'll go ahead? Is it by the time I yato abama? Is it by the time you swear in parliament and I find a start free? You see, all these things are ambiguous. So when you have such ambiguities read in your constitution, and then you give a judge that power. Unfortunately, judges now you want political judges. So what do you expect them to do? They will put political interpretation. So we will not move forward. So me, Emra, I did a video on YouTube. Now, me catch a man for said the best thing we can do is to all call for massive constitutional retooling, re-engineering. Now, some of the clauses, are outliving the usefulness. Some of the phrases, are not quite clear. And internet always beyond, we need to rely on, yes, you can't live in a country that the Supreme Court will not be interpreting, but you see, it becomes too many. And the provision are quite clear. Like the Article 97, 1G, and as for a quite clear, explicit. We don't need any implicit interpretation from anybody, but people are making look like a bit ambiguous, and we need interpretation. So add into a young saying review your constitution, young writing in a much clearer format. We will not be giving judges too much discretionary powers to always, them near tampongo muti no one no bia the kind of no. I think that we can do better. We can do, especially at the time. President Bakun has decided to pack the court and then go to the Supreme Court. Judges, recent cases here, surprisingly, all of them were appointed within the short period. All of them appointed, and there are people on bench, they qualify. Yes, qualify. For instance, for instance, Domahene has been on the bench for so many years. Ni juniors be Supreme Court that's what be ote. Why? Because the Omofri said he's not friendly with government. And then you postunu the nekwaha ochena or your heno ya toso sebi tisa akora because okana dwene. And a man for any some passing on Supreme Court and no we not passing or because of politics. So I know the day, if you give such massive room, discretionary powers to judges to interpret the constitution, that's what we get. So that is why some of us have been calling, say we need to do massive constitutional re-engineering. Even though Supreme Court will be interpreting most of the constitution by any all provisions. And I think, say, you bet me, I'll move on.
Yo, Abusia, Uguswa would hear Rainbow Radio 92.4 FM, a year. Ivan Che Innocent and a young common. Mamma cows, winter, CCD and Ghana, your time in a pet, and then about 7 p.m. Pepe and Webber my musuo. I'll going to green aha buying tea, my main cow, Nabomodia copper, not tonanum, na away baby, waposu, I am remembrano, but Modia copebinum na embusti a year will mean a year system. And supportive na so answer and buana and regulate a year with blood sugar levels and so fan farm out. 83 77 962 236426 and 075 5252 7877 wo outside United Kingdom kra no a ebe shape bi e de abrel enti bomodi anaje wo de nanom na winter yi de we a weather na ye no enye betesa ahweni anaja wo mpeni wo sisi echi ne wo aposo no wentimi ankwa adwuma tikope bi alugu into gwi haban ti no bi kope bi na bomodi na nom ne 10 mo na maminka onso se eye overseas student house almost say we busua Ghana na person de neba UK no be pursue the first degree and the masters overseas students house the bomodian abo they are in partnership with a number of universities UK has say and 90 bomodian no guarantee wo kwanya be fa so wetimi aba school United Kingdom intake no periods near January, May and September and into bomodian na shenen so omotimi abo mo gain admission. Kama. You can also enjoy a 30% a year scholarship on the first degree program and 50% a year scholarship on all masters a year program. Into overseas a year student house there. When we say initial payment, I will be to 3,500 a year cedis and no a administrative fee. And now making sure so wow no we secure a year admission. And next payment will be 50% of your fees and also bomodia na shenen so one more location ebi wo Accra and Kumasi. Accra de no omo Dansuman Sahara adjacent Ecobank Sanso na Kumasi omo Ahojo Main Street opposite Zenith Bank Pizza Man Building Malcolm Road enti shenen so fra omo ewo +233 242 285 037 and now +233 243 173 713 +233 243 173 713. You can submit to me after one more 0208 144 3633. Overseas Students House, your admission is guaranteed. Enti bomodia na shenenso and 10 more. Born to Prophecy, a year Prophet Emmanuel J. A year from 30th year this week next year shasi empaibo shasi each night the then address near Gateway House a year John Wilson Street a year war a year London year postcode near SE186QQ. For more information so bit me afre Prophet Emmanuel J +233 271 803 and now +233 5525 622. Bomodiana Fre, Prophet Emra, a year 30th, Egusi 3rd November, a year Paibo, Born to Prophecy, a shas yet, ye call a affinery, antifan who Jim na prepare spiritually ahead of a year 2025. Now, unim the eja, a day beba, anti prayer. Also works. I believe in prayers anyway. Me o Christo ni. Anyway, share the other conversations I wa eponoso. We say Dr. Ren, mami say twisted killers spiked young dad's drink at party and raped him as he lays dying. We say rich news. Ana what the news see amanemia me de mau. Ivan yenhwe na no ne beto dwa se Ghana fo bi ache wo mo UK ha adan ha wo mo de obonsam edua bi egubotom aba bedu kroma tiawa ne wi aya ko the other conversation hey
asemo
amanfo hye yenimonyam na ebi musu gu ye ho anim ase o
yeah I think it's really bad and they say we drug business na wadwen say obako free agrobi na wudi because I can tell you say intelligence organization around the world no at least with one another yenyanche wa na bia the people just want to understand the scope of your business syndicate as to whether you're operating alone or you're operating with. There are people who have been under the watch of security agencies for so many years. Sometimes nipa ba ko na me bi kwachi omo a and solve the problem because omo no the goal isn't to arrest one person, but the goal is to get individuals in the faces behind everything. So sometimes obaya then I say you know more fraud. I say my dad bro ni imagine sikare na say for when you're doing those things, you can easily be identified. And sometimes they don't do these things in haste. Try to understand the scope as to whether say a team there, one person there, to what extent, and then as a for so sometimes they allow you to do some of these things. But it's unfortunate, say, especially at the time. So we have Africans Europa. These are bad times because you see this globalization agenda. There are forces that are fighting against this globalization agenda. I'm for free so be an cotton and the chrome. That doctrine, Donald Trump and Ordenam, and then the UK. I think some group ban and they want a number of people more deported or more. Say every blessed day they are deporting people.
Oh yes.
I'm told that I know a plane bag.
40 eba na no last week Friday. Almost about 100 by December Ghana for any Ghana for a baby nipa be 100 beba. I think say Monday no Sunday no bimunsu babe do Ghana nipa me say 8 or so 8 or 10 eba Ghana.
Yes. And there are those of UK ship your to Ireland. Rwanda deal by so there is this massive crackdown. People are pushing against this globalization. I'm for this protectionist kind of way approach, and I'm for you be able to mind binding as a for them. But there are rooms. So when people begin to do some of these things, a matter particular tag, they see others in the same light. Because there are people or more to quiet or more toilet for whatever that they do. I'm for your friend said double shift and then as a form every pound and $1 be a nipani benya biano or bread and sana wenya. And if you people will buy whatever means about some of these deals and as for not know the day, ye be who a casti or be in bad light. I'm not sure say you're good because drug business and as for this is not the first time my BC and me. I'm not sure say a to be however bad we think it is, reputational damage and as for there are people who think there's the easiest way of making money and then as for them. And sadly, I'm told say a mummy no crowd were sentenced in absentia because a be a journey free UK. According to sources, Oma Abagana. Omo SKP, your friend saying one your man 10 years. Na Oma sentencing now on ya run or flee the jurisdiction of UK or more channel. And I think so one another person. And sadly, my way, I'm not sure, say. Put those there in a good positive light all we can do is say and condemn activities way utukwanya adwuma biasa there are several adwuma papa ubitimi aye ede sika and some of this easiest way of making money you don't only destroy yourself you destroy chances and opportunities about for others. And I'm not sure say sika obokwakonya 1 million because drugs na ye kan ho asem no you say in estimate, running into over 4.3 million pounds. And yeah, the ketwa 4.3 million pounds. And anka didn't go through and more of we are cotton manipa economy. And depending on Obian and the system, we know say dragging the impact and as for a consequences anyway. Now there was this debate starting in Ghana. Obi frame and catch him say, hey Ivan. So we nena se for no ma emfaso also I say the medicine nena se for no ti ese ye ma ho kwan na ye dua. My argument has always been on my ye wo gold or diamond or bauxite went to me and ton anyesika we na beton de anyesika Dr. Ren and there yenya diamond yenya bauxite and that crowd yenya we ya kan ho lithium nena se for want to me and ton anyesika we. What people don't realize, if you go to the United States of America, where they allow people to grow cannabis, and as for apart from say a modern medicine, and as Dr. Ren, look at the crime rate in America today. Look at drugs on the streets of among for tenancy, apart from industrial gains, Misiko Munyano, Obia tenancy quantify crime now air cosono. Why people pick guns and all of a sudden they shoot and kill people? Do you know why they do that? Because of the drugs in the system. Because you can't do narrow argument and say, oh, you're trying to be sika. Trust me. So what don't go diamond bauxite and as for timber now when sika we and your share because the social side, you know, the destruction cause to lives of people no and the ketwa. But because obian tenase and quantify loss of life, damage to property, a man for yes or more brabo, a man for or more ankasano, and drugs no or say ya. Go to America and look at the number of people are almost rehabilitation homes or more care. Sometimes a bar at the cost of the government, how much you spend. That no day, no, whatever money you make, you know, you end up spending extra cash dealing with the effect and then as for. So I think there is a narrow argument. Very often people open drugs and what and yeah, dear, any positive way be so person what say look at America and then or more, yes, you like drug cannabis and as for. There are people or more system they can use and get away with it. But how many people now be use drugs and they get away with it? Nema would buy and as a form. So I think there is not an advocacy here. Ubi better baby ajia tomnen as a form. I've been in the hospital for so long. I know, sir. Even some of the drugs now, opium derivatives, as a form. Dr. Ren say, yeah, the mouth to aswa. You can even become addictive. And I say nipa be brave. I want some no. You can see it ready with so I can hear. So I'm not sure say drugs anything else yes also. So court no is good. Say issue no by you know they've been able to deal with it swiftly. Unfortunately, Ghana has such cases your friends say cocaine and so for and then so Ghana baba ya one avenue. Ya the same my body for her kwama on it. A lot. Your port. Your airport and then as for there be a drugs ya betting about Timbia it me far a coy. You ask yourself, say you had no entry point and a debana, yeah. Do we have syndicate and people who are facilitating some of these business? I think I happen say we don't just look at the one side. As a Ghana officials turn us in the beside who say identity there be no point of your friends say entry no started from Ghana. You handed it to go smoothly. Nothing happens. They could do about team we are a month for a huge way on us. And I think that we need to work on.
Ushfa a year a friend is saying on the 12th of July a year 2023 Parliament ebo modia a pass a year bill allow a year cannabis a year cultivation for a year medicinal purposes. Ubibeka say and say dear Akobani say dear unye sure say enche Ghana for no a one ruby mami one ruby na me high kakra one really amount for to be pushy because this you Germany ye chero grams dudu a bit to me ashia eja enye boni. You think say ebedum rebe na ve be to that particular level and kakra nkre abomodian pass bill I bit me cultivate first na cultivation no a friend is saying illegal. See the cultivation of a year Indian legal.
Yes, Dr. Rai Winim. One thing from a medical perspective in Wahoo, most of the analgesics are used to analgesic near pain drugs. Most of them are coming from some of these hard substances. And it was synthetic type. Synthetic, directly, and yet the opium, na mumi ya one other synthetic form, I created a particular way, just to ensure say, but the danger I can say, part of the world, where regulations and those kind of stuff, any way, now, people always find a way of your friends say outwitting the system, So, what can a man for India cannabis now? The question is, and she say, ban the can I make sure say indeed. Tobinco, a pharmaceutical company. Some of these drugs, So, you have Tobinco as a company the right to grow cannabis. How do we ensure say indeed? Adena the obenya biano or the drugs and now say of be so ton be mobi. Why and not Tobinco so certify amana yes na me use just as example.
Yeah.
It's another day whenever ba hoso no na manfo do we for kroma obisa na or say oye for this pharmacy way because you've given that particular green light. What that's here. So your system and yet a bit controlled as compared to other places that are clear-cut regulations and regulating how these pharmaceutical companies na ye more right for that particular medicinal farming and as a for no ye ha no a problem. Trust me, whenever I was na individuals bit you hohoi or bit you tamale or bit we odua na say enya man na no social media obi a ono recording na ho we no a wa ho awie no na odi agu machine mu na o tware machine na machine no hihya botto menim de bad timoko videos ade no botto be bread
Rastafari for no, hey.
Bottle be 100 no packet, but you see the thing is you see, and I'm say obia na the level of way drugs no. Say nipa 100 far, about 20 can get away with it. They will live normal, but about 80 ebe say yomo. And we need more system no. How do you even know that this thing is good for you? I don't think that preemptive approach has always been say don't even get close. Because okwana by addictive or life what say no. There is nothing that you can do. What I say? So I think say idea of my back as sika and I'm making arguments and say there be na nyankopon there many power Ghana ha ye nibi. But nyansa na ye ninti no sa nema we nyina go waste. Gold a yenya ya brofo na befa ko. And major companies or more stake in our gold. For it's the same foreign companies.
Yeah.
And oil you discover in the commercial quantities and yeah na yetu lithium and yeah na yetu diamond and yeah na yetu enti sa nema we nyina wanya na wo de akwakwacha wanti bi amfa nye ya we na wo di be ye sometimes I damn when patim elsewhere where people can regulate and do it well and make money is different in our part of the world no. I'm not sure say ya duru ho
Abusia we enche mema wakwenya na unso aba be friend na wachire wadwene quickly ensure the IMF board to review Ghana's program for a year 360 million US dollars disbursement on a year December 7. But before then amount for kase a year Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia say Ghana for embomodiano muntu aba ne man na omutuma no oba a year economy no atete apansam no Obamodiana washing Wessie Nume. And some people are saying, say, and yeah, President Tekufar and cancer Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia because of economy who send 17 or far no. Because for time with me boy ma economy jinan and naso and integrally in $1 and now son 1 cedis. And why is Bawumia saying all these things when he can even start implementing the thing now? Because President Tekufar Amiati say agenda 111 the crown. Bawumia ni swade ana into wajitu mu a yesi Ghana hospitals across the nation. Do you think say and economy no expose Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia say onye obia when we entrust him with Ghana's economy betimi ahwen watoto anuoma
Dr. Ran, I think say no serious mind or trust Dr. Bawumia with the economy of this country. No serious, apart from a mind that is emotional, a mind certain sentimental attachment to Bawumia or the MPP, but a mind that is serious, not any politics, not a rational, analyze the situation and things, event that has happened in this country. No serious mind will consider Bawumia as an option. That is based on fact that happened because Ghana economy in that way. Bawumia na ankasa na or say why messiah for the economy. When was the last time what is okay economy asem? Obi a oye economist and PhD onya in economy no. He's telling you say oye IT man championing digitalization. He doesn't even talk about the economy anymore. Why? Because the economy is in shambles, it's in crisis. Some people over the years have sought to cook some cheap justification over kind of say Ukraine, Russia. What kind of my say certain is just your friend is saying people manufacturing nonsense just to justify their failure and then as a form because economy in that way, one of the cardinal things and now Dr. Bawumia Jina so 2016 and now Okaseb Mahama Aya incompetence Jina Sunto Abamano largely had to do with the city. It was 3.9, 3.6, 4 cities cry. I am not expecting $1 till now, but look at the rate at which I move within 80 years. And look where Ghana your debt portfolio and to the extent say you're suspending your debt to the extent that we've gone to China for a catch up and say Chalemo can yen to mean to you. And then external your fans saying Uncle Fire Bobos here from her, you're suspended. And then the only way I IMF. For the first time in so many years in this country, Dr. Ren, domestic your fans saying lenders. Omo mudo musika ema buying the top treasure bills. I buying GSika if I did 6 months time about GAD. Sa for nusika come. These are the obvious reality. And Bawumia is still in charge. Makata say we are vice president in Ghana. You are not a pussy. You are not a pushover. You have powers. Ideas are complement with it. Because Akufo-Addo was so sincere when he told Ghanaians, say, on the when it comes to economy, or shada and knee on top of that, and into Okofa Bawumia. And according to report, na Bawumia MPP, but he begged them and told them, said they should give him a waiver because the guy is an economic guru, or take charge of the economy.
Oh yeah, almost two MPP constitution it touch because exactly. Of Bawumia almost touch yeah.
So this is a person who has been given a waiver because of certain credentials. And under the Fourth Republic, Menyosho said Ghana's economy has suffered any tragedy compared to what we are witnessing today. And I'll catch them and say people should vote for Bawumia. You are a joke. So far as the economy is concerned, I say I have nothing against him as a person. This arrogance, ya kasa boom boom na sefoi or nyesa nipa no bi. But the issue has to do with competence. He has demonstrated say a hype and a man for hype, when it comes to economy or more number. And it's in there or no finding the space here. On about the economy.
Usu said the way I hype Akufo-Addo say when it comes to human rights activists, he's a man of a human rights activist. Akufo-Addo they were being when it comes to politics with Nimwadie. Usu said send Ghana for you see hype and the hype Bawumia.
Oh yeah, I think that some people have found it quite. Yeah, there's something we call political marketing. A course a man for Yahano, and yet at the highest or sophisticated level, but low key, people find a way of controlling the traditional media just to insert things on the minds of people. So growing up, it was all over. Akufo-Addo, his story was told, his story was re-echoed. Told in a way,
and then the way you kind of bro for no kind of see bisa the dead now man for near boy and say what bro for wow.
So you see,
as Akufo-Addo you for Kwame Nkrumah years I was spending in America and Great Britain. Akufo-Addo years for best money were brutally cry one time for maybe 10 years or 3 years before years.
And America said inferiority complex. We the black people sometimes we find it very difficult to accept ourselves. So Ghana near what we secondary school, our Ghana, what in the US, what in the Kasa. You see, they are refusing to accept because you don't believe in yourself. You don't have value within yourself because you will not just go because your tongue, see about we secondary school. So if you travel after secondary school, you don't speak that particular accent and answer for them. Even JSS Krano, you can even pick it up. But people go there because Ofri say Okasa sana na be feeling important.
So they call China craba no abeye ene obi call China obi akọ Japan wako e hoso ko ye China ye kan ne how shin kwanten he sha no o abegina na abeye ene.
Yes, because Dr. Ran Kwame Nkrumah akọ Lincoln University. From there otena America ko ni school nyina ofri ho no osamba UK ankasa. But Kwame Nkrumah e Cameroon he had an accent in a so different because he wanted to prove the African in him. Say language but you speak it in a way and you find a way. You don't need to mimic somebody.
Because we are real, we are authentic, we are fake.
Yes, and the Ghana for musicians be or Jidin Kakana Cotton radio an interviewer. I said be say.
What jacket? I wore winter jacket. No, I bet now wore a she way wa Ghana. Oh, she winter jacket. No, the BB actually trini who balaclava be. We a samurai. Oko. Ninja now.
Intelligence, my culture say you cannot fake it. It is not how you speak. It is what you say. It doesn't matter the tone, the accent, and don't define it. That is why the last time na papa we odi ni nsem hu no yes efre stick out se hwan unze consistently niema oye na bontin nyina de peche a typical krasini bi asabi wanya tumi a ohu de omfanye. And then people were insulting him on social media. When him answer them or say among for nim no or school or UK or school or US and you know so really you went to school in the UK, so that means you are wise. So you see, that's the inferiority complex. But if you begin to accept yourself and you believe in who you are, you have confidence in yourself. You will not have to speak like somebody, act like somebody. That is why there be a catcher man for say Kwame Nkrumah by or believe in the legacy. You cannot be Kwame Nkrumah. You can only relish what he did, draw an inspiration, and be who you are. I will never be on radio and say, I am the new Kwame Nkrumah. I can't be Kwame Nkrumah. I am me, I'm myself. But I can only draw inspiration from what he did, relish what he did, inspire me to do what I want to be. I don't want to be nobody else. I want to be myself, who I am. So people will see me say, this is Ivan, not junior, this junior. Oh, come on, it doesn't make sense. If you believe in yourself, I'm not saying that twist essence. But unfortunately, no. And the Ghana for have grown to know that. Growing up, no form kakra. By I'm for beginning to understand some of these dynamics. I know a lot of friends in the US, UK, or Ghana for. They've lived there for several years. They don't speak those kind of way. They speak like typical African, typical Ghanaian. Freely, you don't need to fake anything. I crack it to UK for kasa growing up because language, a way of orientation. So they were outside, that is how they pick it up.
When him say, we can encourage Madame Fubi neba, me show so till.
Okay.
Na neba ne friend and then say only me din kuma na I'm say minia na ubano na the friend no. Also say sa na friend no I'm say inti na wo friend no wo friend na also ko school sa na friend na I'm so say school dey na different no be fear wo na wo to no din wo tu ni no anya na wo tu ni din na inti fa friend na ne we hunu say na wo the friend no nso hunu say na no dey the friend no yes I ba hunu na afedi ya say din na afedi ko be menu ni ane menu ni ane MAINOO abredi ni say menu.
And you see the funny aspect of it is that I have black race number 4 mo call America mo call wo mo man mo ba ye mpanimfo akesefo no and also mo nyina everybody is tracing their history back home.
Oh yes.
And Idris Abasa or Ghana he will move back to Ghana and stay here. Almost all the big guys in Ghana are finding Ethiopia, Ghana or Nigeria because they've gotten to a point there is this pride that has grown within them. So even with their black in nature, they've been able to conquer the world, gotten to where even white people couldn't go. And that is the time for them to accept who they are. And until then, most of the big guys now at the global stage, America, all of them are coming back to Africa. Because at this point, there is nothing. Your friend is saying, I need to let who I am come out for people to accept who I am. I am black. I'm from Africa. And Africa, I'm ba America, I conquer the whole world, So you have to wish away and you see that mentality. I think that when you grow to that level, mind, that kind of and those things are inferiority complex. People who are refusing to accept themselves, they don't believe in themselves, they have those low self-esteem, low social graces. When you have those things, you always want to be like somebody, dress like somebody, speak like somebody. Psychology.
And you can be judges here. Womunja, your friend says, I regalia, ye wig, ye crude atelier.
Yes. And as my culture says, I never in crisis because a colonial, UK way for no more dressing as a form, and to the honor. Babin ya, dear could be a manager, who's all buy or shall say frack containing as a form depicting your culture, who we are. We are not always following what people are doing. And we are not judges say a dear time way. And I'm a catcher say I say see no free Old Testament in top form. But then it's just a matter of sitting there. You don't need to wear that particular thing to draw respect. I have a friend that na call military and I meet to no for say. You see, I'm first and on I'm for through soldier for because you're a by and their masses. You don't need to be in uniform for people to respect you. So we are soldier near. Besides, I want to say, me uniform, will people respect me? When you get the answer, that is your level of respect. It is not the respect you get because you are wearing a uniform, going around intimidating people. No. So we need post, we need baby, we see about do people respect you? That is the most important thing. It's not about master uniform because that uniform, no, you are not going to wear it forever. It will get to a point with the uniform will go form. So at that point, will people see you? Will they recognize you? Will they respect you? These are some of the things you pick up. Now, I live life. So I think that there are a lot that we can do. Akufo-Addo with that accent now by the name how back can ya man for talk about man no. E ho awie na yete ho ene yo.
So do you think that Ghanaians should entrust the economy into the hands of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia?
Oh, some culture said no because you see, any personal hatred and nothing because Bawumia na the economy sharing sir. This is what we've gotten. This is the state of Ghana. The economy is here. And you're worthy of any discussion on radio. Nobody even talks about it. So, a dear Ben or differently. That's my question. A dear Bawumia has to offer differently. I owe to me to do what? People are saying that he's not a man of his own. Akufo-Addo say the economy is not the amount because he doesn't know economy. Into not the amount. This is what we are getting. And he made promises. Borrow when you borrow, yatisikaso accommodate. My work or Bank of Ghana. It got to a point. Bank of Ghana no ebe printing press and they print sika. Ya ne buy a hoso no. That inflation in Ghana drew over about 53. For the last 30 years, the last time a Ghana inflation drew such a number. So again, what are you convincing Ghanaians? So I think that no serious mind will take Bawumia serious, considering his own track record, his own rhetorics. Niyama waye. Apart from emotional, political minds, and I'm not sure any serious mind will take him serious.
Yo, Abusia Ugusua Wuti, a year, Rainbow Radio 92.4 FM, Yencha, in Yanamo, a year, and 10 times or more shaying. Yencha, and I saw a year, Uncle Mark, Lawyer Mark, Wahase, Sansuna, a year, Godfred Kwabnadi, Wu, Florence Ama, a year, Noble, a call a year, and a friend is saying, messages are about say Dr. Ren indeed 2024 election Ghanaians should vote wisely. We want peace. We every a year a fibaho or say yepe asumdue. Nana Ampon or say Dr. Ren send ye tibia no I agree with you. Some of us were once upon a time a year MPP members, but today when we look at the economy, my God. There is nothing for us to be proud of. And thank you for bringing the gentleman, Ivan, and so on. Sudia or the Eba and Ampondi and we every a year Sule, Mamen Kinkai, a year Sule Diana, what they buy and was say, Sule was say, Dr. Alhaji Bawumia is the kind of leader Ghana needs now because he is a man of clean integrity. He is a man who has strong personal integrity. He has been vice president for almost 8 years, and nobody has been able to pick a peck of dirt on his shirt. That tells a lot. He has strong personal integrity. Dr. Alhaji Bawumia understands the people. He loves people. He cares for people, irrespective of faith and their ethnicity. He is the kind of leader Ghanaians need. Let us give him the needed support and vote for him 7th December. Indeed, when you look at Agenda 111 hospitals across the country, restoration of nurses and teachers, trainee allowances, massive employment opportunities, both public and private sector, and the NHIS has been expanded and strengthened under MPP leadership. These initiatives are not just about providing a safety net. They are about empowering the most vulnerable members of the society to lift themselves out of poverty. Vote wisely. Come 7 December. Vote for bold solutions for further hashtag Bawumia 2024. It is highly possible. Also, there what they buy no. Alawaya nurses we see into yama. Hey, asabo employment yama critics. Statistics literally say there is high unemployment rate. MPP nkwano mu create more employment. Nenso de bia no. Unemployment keeps increasing. Very, very strange. Ivan, the crack runs on a bejamu akono. Your words to Ghanaians are almost.
Yeah, I think that be a cancer politics na yeah no. Emraso say yam fa emotions, madam fu ni menu ni if you kroba masori ni your tribe ni na na for no politics. Yeah, the aye over the years nya. That is why I am premising the whole discussion on issues. Let us be honest with ourselves. You see, you don't own anyone. You can be a member of a political party, but your allegiance, is to your convictions and people who are willing to do the right thing. You have the right to take away your support. Let us be very constructive in our criticism. Now, emotions that is the only way between shaping your democracy. And I'm sure, say, when we get to that particular point now, my culture say, change the for it to be effective, it will depend on us, the people, the kind of pressure you putting on political institution, political heads now, man, for because now Maker said the easiest thing to do for any leader is to rule fools. It's so easy. You are able to buy time, do whatever that you want. But if we accept, say we the people, despite being MPP, despite being NDC, despite being whichever, what is wrong is wrong, what is right. Trust me, it will put people on their toes. And no crowd filter the system because there are a lot of idiots who might get into the political stage because of the nature of politics that we do. I'm for general stage so sabi. I said sometimes and the battery ne wo sa kura na kasafa ni mo say you wonder. These people are taking the political stage because of the nature of politics that we do. But yeah, people, yes, very vigilant near taking away emotions near the nyansaya politics. Some of these people, obiaba final level, they will not come close anywhere to power. Now we'll be able to entrust power to people who are serious and who can actually do the right thing with power. Mechi obia here from UK biana obia every Monday bi onya da GTA.
Ivan, next week. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, Ebusia, yani Ebra, Ivan, innocent.
As to whether say a team there, one person there, to what extent, and then as a foreigner, so sometimes they allow you to do some of these things. But it's unfortunate, say, especially at the time. So we have Africans, Europe. These are bad times because you see this globalization agenda. There are forces that are fighting and parliamentary business. There are key decisions to be taken. And in Nipana, you know, I'm taking that decision. Let's say, my boycott of parliament, or my so they met me and said, then I'm suspending the house indefinitely. And that is exactly what he did. And
it is a kind article 117, and it talks about the immunity from service or processes and arrest. Now, we say civil or criminal process coming from any court or place out of parliament shall not be served on or executed in relation to the speaker or a member or the clerk to parliament while he